I'm willing to accept that the Great Pyramid was largely completed by the ancient Egyptians.
Egypt, a land steeped in mystery, has captivated imaginations for centuries. Its majestic pyramids stand as timeless symbols of ancient ingenuity, hiding secrets that have puzzled historians and archaeologists alike. But you found out that beneath the sands lies a discovery that challenges everything we think we know? What could be buried in the vast Egyptian desert that remains undocumented in history? Join us as we delve into the incredible revelation of an object unearthed in Egypt that has no record of existence. The untold secrets of Zawiat el-Aryan. In May 1900, an Italian architect and Egyptologist, Alessandro Barsanti, was deep in research at the Layer Pyramid in Zawiat el-Aryan. Having spent decades working for the Egyptian Antiquities Service and earning renown for discovering the tomb of Akhenaten in 1891, Barsanti quickly sized up the situation. The Layer Pyramid had, over time, crumbled into little more than a mound of rubble. Its underground chambers were unfinished and empty, offering no treasure or historical clues. Like many before him, Barsanti believed the pyramid had been abandoned before completion, likely due to the death of the king who had ordered it. Disappointed, he abandoned the site and returned to Giza in search of something more promising. But fate had something else in store for him. Rather than returning to the well-worn road, Barsanti chose a seldom-used route that cut across a high plateau. The view from this elevated path was stunning, and as he gazed over the landscape, something unusual grabbed his attention. Just north of the Layer Pyramid, about 1.5 miles away, the ground appeared littered with large granite pieces and the fine dust left behind when stones are polished. Barsanti's instincts immediately kicked in. In his journal, he later wrote, "It struck me at once that these fragments must be the remains of a site where large blocks were prepared, likely for a significant tomb hidden somewhere nearby." The possibility sparked his curiosity. Egyptologists had explored Zawiat el-Aryan for decades, but no one had ever reported finding anything other than the Layer Pyramid. Could he have uncovered something new? Climbing a nearby hill for a better look, Barsanti spotted the remnants of a vast rectangular structure just barely poking out of the surrounding land. Massive limestone blocks were still in place, while others lay scattered across the site. As he studied the terrain, he noticed a shallow depression in the ground and a trench running north to south. The more he looked, the more convinced he became. He had stumbled upon an unknown monument, and it was far grander than anyone had realized. Excited by the possibilities, Barsanti wasted no time. He rushed back to Giza, assembled a team of 50 workers, and returned the next day, ready to uncover the secrets of this mysterious site. In just 2 days, Barsanti knew his hunch had been right. There was something massive hidden underground. At first, he thought it was a huge rectangular building, but as his team dug, they discovered it was actually a vast pit made of limestone, plunging deep into the earth. The pit had been buried for ages, concealed under layers of desert sand. But to Barsanti's surprise, it hadn't been hidden by nature alone. The pit had also been deliberately filled with massive limestone blocks, each weighing 3 to 4 tons, tossed carelessly inside at some point in history. Barsanti and his team began the painstaking process of clearing these heavy blocks, slowly digging deeper. It was exhausting work, and progress was slow. Then, on December 8th, everything changed. At 21 meters deep, they unearthed something that reignited their passion for the project. A large pink granite block embedded in the wall. Unlike the limestone they'd been finding, pink granite was far more precious and difficult to work with, a material reserved for the most significant structures by the ancient Egyptians. This discovery signaled to Barsanti that they were dealing with something extraordinary. As they continued, more pink granite blocks emerged, all connected to that first one. Finally, in February 1905, they revealed a massive 30-ton pink granite slab at the base of the pit, forming a kind of stone pavement. Barsanti's years of expertise told him that this was no ordinary find. He was convinced it marked the entrance to an underground world, likely filled with tombs and untold treasures. What added to the excitement was that Barsanti still didn't know who had built this mysterious pit. During the excavation, they uncovered inscriptions on some of the stones, but despite his efforts and consultations with other experts in Giza and Cairo, no one could decipher them. The meaning and origin of the inscriptions remained a mystery, sparking heated debates among scholars. With each new discovery, the mystery deepened. Barsanti knew that if there were chambers below the pink granite, they would finally reveal the identity of the creators and uncover other secrets in the process. Unearthing the mystery. Barsanti held grand hopes that they were on the verge of uncovering a hidden doorway to an underground world filled with ancient tombs and incredible treasures waiting to be revealed. Determined to uncover the mystery, he set to work, using jacks and other machinery to shift a massive 30-ton granite block, eager to see what lay hidden below. As he dug, he was astonished to find not just one, but several enormous granite blocks stacked neatly on top of each other. Each block was intricately bound to the one above it by a groove, creating a solid formation. Barsanti couldn't help but wonder, what was the purpose of piling such valuable pink granite deep underground? Before he could unravel this riddle, Barsanti and his team stumbled upon an even more astonishing discovery, one that would stand out as the most remarkable and puzzling find at the entire site. On March 12, as Barsanti continued his exploration on the north side, he made an extraordinary find almost at the center of the west side. He discovered a large oval vat, crafted from the same stunning pink granite, polished to a gleam like a mirror. It measured a depth of 1 meter and 5 centimeters and had been carved directly from one of the pavement blocks that filled the bottom of the pit. This vat was not only striking because of its smooth, reflective surface and unusual shape, but Barsanti also noticed something intriguing. It had been carefully protected. He observed they had spread over the lid a layer of lime, and over that, a thick bed of well-applied clay. This precaution kept it entirely separate from the limestone blocks stacked above it. These blocks had been arranged side by side on the clay, forming a protective barrier around the precious vat. Why had such care been taken? What significance did this vat hold that warranted such meticulous protection? Barsanti felt that the answers must lie within the vat itself. Not only was it safeguarded, but it also featured a tightly fitted lid made of polished granite, sealed shut with plaster. With great anticipation, Barsanti and his team slowly pried off the lid. However, they were met with disappointment. The vat was empty, devoid of any artifacts or hidden treasures. Yet, it wasn't completely vacant. Barsanti observed that the side walls were lined with a black band, measuring 10 centimeters high. He suggested that this could be the faint residue of some liquid that once filled the vat, possibly an offering or libation that had evaporated over time. This unusual black residue hinted at the vat's extraordinary purpose. Barsanti speculated that while some have suggested this tank was an unused sarcophagus, he disagreed. The care with which it was shielded indicated that it once held something significant, and the dark deposit might reveal its true nature. One wouldn't have bothered to hide something under such a huge pile of stones if it had been empty at the time. The mystery surrounding the pit at Zawiat El Arian was growing deeper, and Barsanti felt a strong urge to unravel it. As his team continued digging, they stumbled upon an enormous pink granite block that stretched from one wall to the other, sitting right in the middle of the pit. To Barsanti, it looked as if this giant block had been placed there like a cork sealing a bottle. Barsanti was convinced that this massive cork-like block marked the entrance to hidden chambers lying beneath the surface. As he pressed on with his excavation, his search for these concealed inner apartments gained attention, spreading excitement not only across Egypt, but also in the world of Egyptology. Many skeptics questioned Barsanti's quest, thinking he might be mistaken or losing his touch. They believed the pit was just the remains of a pyramid that had never been built. Then, unexpectedly, two significant events seemed to support Barsanti's theory. First, at the northern end of the pit, he and his team discovered a beautifully crafted staircase leading steeply out of the pit. These stairs weren't made for workers. They were far too steep and too finely finished, suggesting they were ceremonial, possibly leading to hidden chambers below. Next came an astonishing turn of events. On March 30, 1905, a violent storm swept through the area, unleashing heavy rains that filled the pit with over 3 meters of water. Remarkably, just a few hours after the storm, the water level in the pit suddenly dropped by 1 meter. Barsanti eagerly asserted that this drop must be due to water seeping into some kind of underground chamber, the hidden apartments he believed awaited discovery beneath the pit. This evidence was all Barsanti needed to affirm his conviction. Fueled by determination and a fierce desire to uncover the secrets below, he vowed to intensify his efforts, pushing himself almost to the brink of madness in his quest for the truth. The unfinished quest. Right away, he and his team got to work, ripping up the pink granite floor of the pit, trying their best to dig through the massive stone and reach the ground below. However, this task turned out to be incredibly challenging. The granite blocks were enormous and heavy, and to make matters worse, they were bonded together with a powerful mortar. They fit together like pieces of a puzzle, meaning that moving even one block would disrupt the entire arrangement. By late 1906, after many struggles without uncovering what lay beneath the pit at Zawiat El Aryan, Barsanti found himself out of money. He had no choice but to halt the project and send his team home. But giving up was not an option for him. For years, he scoured for new funding, passionately telling anyone who would listen that he was on the brink of an incredible discovery. Finally, in 1911, he secured the funding he needed. Almost 5 years to the day after he left, he returned to continue the excavation. This time, Barsanti was determined to make progress. He instructed his team to aggressively remove the limestone blocks from the eastern end of the pit, creating a tunnel to facilitate the easier extraction of the pink granite floor. The sheer weight of the blocks, along with the cement-like mortar and their interlocking design, made this the toughest job his team had ever faced. Yet for Barsanti, this only strengthened his belief. Clearly, whoever had built this site had gone to great lengths to ensure the floor blocks were immovable because they were hiding something valuable. The builders must have been extremely careful to protect whatever lay beneath them. Unfortunately, the work proved so arduous that Barsanti again ran out of funds before he could solve the mystery. For the second time, he would have to embark on a quest around the world in search of a new sponsor. But just as he was gearing up to find one, the outbreak of World War I brought further explorations in Egypt to a complete standstill. In 1917, at the age of 59, Barsanti passed away unexpectedly, leaving his work at Zawiat El Aryan unfinished. Instead of picking up where Barsanti had left off, Egyptologists seemed to let the site fade into obscurity. Over the years, sand gradually buried the pit, and it was largely forgotten. It wasn't until the 1950s when the location was selected as a backdrop for the 1954 film The Land of the Pharaohs that attention returned to the site. To prepare for filming, the pit was cleared of sand, revealing its original appearance for the first time in decades. This allowed for breathtaking photographs and footage to be captured, sparking renewed interest in the enigmatic site. Among those captivated by the film's striking images were two Italian scholars, Vito Maraggiolio and Celeste Rinaldi. Armed with Barsanti's original notes, they set out to continue his exploration in the early 1960s. However, by the time they arrived, the pit had once again filled with sand, requiring significant excavation before any meaningful research could begin. Their time was limited, and after conducting only superficial surveys and small digs, they concluded in their report that they had only uncovered a few details about the structure's superstructure. Just as their work was gaining momentum, The Egyptian government abruptly restricted access to Zawiat el-Aryan in 1964, designating the area for a new military base. Maragioglio and Rinaldi were expelled, and from that point on, the site was sealed off and buried beneath military buildings. This sudden closure raises the question of why the Egyptian military chose Zawiat el-Aryan, a site shrouded in mystery, just when interest in its secrets had been reignited. Many Egyptologists today confidently claim there's no mystery at Zawiat el-Aryan. According to them, the site is simply an unfinished pyramid, with the massive pit being nothing more than the beginning of its foundation. The restricted access doesn't bother them, as they believe there's nothing left to uncover. Yet this explanation, like many in mainstream archaeology, feels thin, full of unanswered questions and contradictions. Interestingly, the only person to study the site in detail was Alessandro Barsanti, a respected Egyptologist with years of field experience. Barsanti, however, disagreed with the popular theory. He didn't believe the pit was part of an unfinished pyramid. This casts doubt on the widely accepted narrative, especially considering it contradicts the findings of the expert who physically examined the site. The features of the pit itself raise serious doubts. Its floor is made of enormous, interlocking granite blocks, bound together with strong mortar, resembling a complex puzzle. Such an intricate design seems excessive for what is claimed to be a simple foundation. The choice of pink granite, a highly valuable and notoriously difficult material, adds to the puzzle. Transporting this stone all the way from Aswan, some 580 miles south, down the Nile, and then dragging it across the desert was no small feat. It seems unlikely that anyone would go to such lengths just to bury this effort under a pyramid. Additionally, inscriptions found at the site continue to baffle Egyptologists, who cannot agree on their meaning or origin. The ongoing debate about these inscriptions suggests that Zawiat el-Aryan holds deeper secrets. The most enigmatic discovery, however, was the oval vat uncovered by Barsanti. If the site was simply the base of a pyramid, why would there be a perfectly carved oval vat, polished to a mirror-like finish with a precisely fitting lid? Such a finely crafted object, embedded in interlocking granite blocks and protected with layers of lime and clay, would not have been created casually. Barsanti also found a mysterious black residue within the vat, adding yet another layer of intrigue. Clearly, the site at Zawiat el-Aryan holds far more than the conventional narrative suggests. It's a place filled with unexplained features, overlooked mysteries, and fascinating clues that defy the idea of it being just an unfinished pyramid. Now it's time for today's subscriber pick. Deep in the arid sands of Egypt, a team of scientists embarked on a groundbreaking expedition, their hearts racing with anticipation. As they carefully unearthed layers of soil, their tools struck something hard and unyielding. Curiosity surged among the team as they uncovered a peculiar object, covered in intricate carvings and glowing faintly in the dim light of their flashlights. It was unlike anything documented in history, prompting immediate excitement. The lead archaeologist brushed away the last remnants of sand, revealing a perfectly preserved artifact shaped like an orb, its swirling patterns dancing across its surface. Scientists discovered an object buried underground in Egypt that no records of exist, leaving the team in a state of awe and confusion. As night fell, they gathered around the orb, pondering its purpose. Some speculated it might be a tool for ancient navigation, while others considered it a lost artifact of an advanced civilization, possibly linked to fabled tales of old. The air crackled with tension and wonder, igniting a sense of destiny within them. Just as the moonlight bathed the orb in a silvery glow, one scientist whispered, "Could this be the key to unlocking secrets of our past?" The question lingered in the air, stirring their imaginations. What ancient knowledge could this object hold, waiting to be unveiled after millennia in silence? Theories beyond tombs. In recent years, some answers to the mystery of Zawiat el-Aryan have started to emerge, leading us 5 miles away to the Giza Plateau, home to the Great Pyramid of Giza, a monumental structure that continues to baffle experts today. Despite centuries of study and exploration, the methods behind its construction and its ultimate purpose remain elusive. Traditionally, many have believed that this grand pyramid served as a tomb for the 4th dynasty pharaoh Khufu. However, a significant number of skeptics have pointed out some glaring inconsistencies with this notion. Unlike other tombs found throughout Egypt, the Great Pyramid has never yielded any human remains, artifacts, jewelry, or even everyday items that would typically accompany a pharaoh into the afterlife. This absence of expected burial goods has led to the emergence of various alternative theories regarding the pyramid's function. Some propose that it might have served as an astrological temple, while others suggest it could have been used for grain storage and more. One of the most intriguing theories arose in the 1960s, thanks to an innovative thinker named Edward Kunkel. In 1962, Kunkel published a groundbreaking book titled Pharaoh's Pump, which sent shockwaves through the field of Egyptology. He proposed a daring idea that the passages and chambers within and beneath the Great Pyramid functioned as the components of a colossal water pump. This pump, according to Kunkel, was designed to transport water from nearby sources out into the surrounding desert, transforming the arid landscape into fertile land. He theorized that the pyramid housed not just one, but 2 pumps, an underground one linked to its enigmatic subterranean chamber, and another situated within the pyramid's upper sections. Together, these would create 2 streams of water that would flow out through shafts on the north and south sides. Unsurprisingly, Kunkel's assertions were met with skepticism, especially from traditional Egyptologists, who dismissed his theory outright. Engineers also raised doubts, arguing that Kunkel's design would necessitate the creation of a vacuum, multiple valves, and a source of fuel along with a combustion chamber to operate the pump effectively. However, some engineers, unshackled by conventional Egyptological beliefs, began to take a closer look at Kunkel's ideas. They discovered that, while the specific design he proposed might not have been feasible, the concept of a ram pump could potentially make sense. A ram pump, a simple yet effective device that has been used for centuries, employs just 2 moving parts and the force of gravity to transfer water from one place to another. The possibility that the builders of the Great Pyramid developed a ram pump on such a grand scale opens the door to a realm of possibilities, inviting us to reimagine the ingenuity and capabilities of the ancient Egyptians. Once the concept was set in motion, other researchers and scholars eagerly embraced the idea, creating a fascinating theoretical model. They proposed that the Great Pyramid received water from the Western Nile and the nearby Lake Moeris, both of which were positioned at higher elevations. This unique geographical advantage made them ideal sources for a gravity-fed water system right on the Giza Plateau. Some even speculated that the retaining wall, which once encircled the pyramid complex, might have functioned as an embankment for a reservoir. As more enthusiasts began to entertain the possibility that the Great Pyramid served as an ancient water pump, they rallied around a compelling argument rooted in economics. Just consider this. The Great Pyramid comprises an astounding 2.3 million blocks, each weighing between 25 and 80 tons. If we imagine workers moving and placing 12 blocks every hour, around the clock, 7 days a week, it would still take an incredible 20 years to complete the structure. When adjusted for today's dollar value, it's estimated that building the pyramid would have cost over $5 billion. This begs the question, why would anyone go to such lengths and spend so much money just to create a tomb? While it's true that Egyptian pharaohs enjoyed more freedom than today's elected leaders, they still had to consider the practicalities of finances and economics. It makes far more sense to invest vast resources in a project that promises a significant return, like a water pump capable of irrigating their lands and nourishing their people. To explore this idea further, we need to step back and consider the implications. If the Great Pyramid was indeed a colossal water pump, then it must have had a destination for all that water. This is where some researchers have made intriguing connections to the enigmatic pit at Zayet El Arian. Rather than being an unfinished pyramid, they theorize that this site served as the outflow point for the water pumped by the Great Pyramid, a vast reservoir designed to hold water drawn from below. They examine the oval tub at the site, noting how meticulously it was sealed with clay and lime. Some speculate that this sealing occurred when the pump ceased operations, perhaps to prevent any leakage. Over time, this pit may have been filled with a tangled mass of limestone blocks, almost as if it were burying a once-active spring. A striking detail emerges. When Barsanti cleared away these blocks, he noticed that water from a heavy rainstorm had seeped into the ground, suggesting a hidden connection between the two sites, unveiling ancient innovations. In our contemporary world, the quest for knowledge about ancient engineering marvels has persisted, and recent scientific investigations are starting to unveil something remarkable. The potential of these structures might extend far beyond simple irrigation systems. In early 1999, a marine engineer named John Cadman found himself browsing through the shelves of a second-hand bookstore when he came across a worn and dusty copy of an intriguing book titled Pharaoh's Pump, written by Edward Kunkel. With a deep understanding of hydraulics, Cadman felt drawn to this unusual text and decided to buy it, eager to explore its contents. As he delved into the pages, Cadman quickly discovered that Kunkel's ideas were far more credible than he had initially thought. Curiosity sparked within him, prompting Cadman to investigate the Great Pyramid of Giza further. What he uncovered was nothing short of amazing. He noted that the pyramid's subterranean chamber bore a striking resemblance to the design of a ram pump, a device used to move water. Through his research, Cadman analyzed photographs that revealed clear evidence of water damage in the subterranean chamber. The ceiling showed unmistakable signs of cavitation, tiny gas bubbles in the water caused by intense turbulence, and visible damage from compression waves that had impacted the surface. This suggested that the chamber didn't merely have the potential to function as a water pump. According to Cadman's expert assessment, it likely had served that purpose. Recognizing the significance of his findings, Cadman felt compelled to leverage his extensive experience in hydraulics. He embarked on a project to create a scale model of the pyramid and its subterranean chamber to test its water pumping capabilities. In July 1999, he constructed his first model, utilizing a nearby river as a water source. However, his initial attempt was met with disappointment as the model leaked, cracked, and ultimately failed to pump the water as he had envisioned. Refusing to be discouraged, Cadman persevered and built subsequent models, each facing the same unfortunate fate. On his fourth attempt, everything fell into place, and to his amazement, his pump worked flawlessly. This successful experiment solidified Cadman's belief that the Great Pyramid could have indeed functioned as a colossal water pump, and it was clear to him that this was no mere coincidence. He was convinced that the ancient architects of the pyramid had expertly designed the subterranean chamber with this purpose in mind. Cadman's groundbreaking discovery was a significant moment for enthusiasts of Kunkel's original work from the 1960s, providing tangible proof that the concept of a Great Pyramid water pump was grounded in reality rather than just speculative theory. As Cadman continued his exploration, he found even more astonishing evidence that suggested the pyramid's capabilities went far beyond merely pumping water. The implications of his findings were vast and intriguing, leaving many to wonder about the true ingenuity of the ancient builders. After demonstrating that the Great Pyramid's hidden chamber could act as a water pump, Cadman took his research a step further. He constructed a larger model and covered it in concrete to replicate the conditions of a pump working underground. Weighing in at over 500 pounds, he transported this impressive model to a seasonal creek, where a pond acted as its reservoir. Once the model started operating, Cadman was astonished by what he observed. Even encased in concrete, the pump produced a vertical compression wave, a rhythmic thumping sound, like a heartbeat, that resonated through the ground from 20 feet away and could be heard over 100 feet distant. This surprising discovery made Cadman realize that his creation was much more than just a water pump. It was generating powerful waves that warranted a new name: pulse generator. This revelation was groundbreaking. If the subterranean chamber of the Great Pyramid was indeed generating these pulse waves, they would travel through the granite walls and passageways of the pyramid. Thanks to granite's ability to reflect sound and energy, these waves could create ionization in the surrounding air, essentially forming an electric field. Based on this finding, some researchers have drawn fascinating conclusions about the pit at Zawiat el-Aryan, suggesting it might be connected to the Great Pyramid through a network of underground tunnels. However, these tunnels might not have been used for irrigation, as previously thought. Instead, they could have been designed to transport electrified water, potentially powering an advanced ancient civilization. The abrupt halt of research at this site, along with its placement within a heavily guarded military area, raises intriguing questions. It seems likely that the ancient technology hidden beneath Zawiat el-Aryan is considered forbidden knowledge. There's a possibility that this site holds evidence of an electrically advanced ancient Egypt, which could change everything we know about human history. What secrets might the Great Pyramid and its hidden chambers reveal about the advanced technologies of ancient Egypt if we continue to dig deeper into their mysteries? Let us know your opinion in the comments below.